Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Soul Goals Podcast. I'm Dawn, and I'm so glad you're joining me today. This podcast is dedicated to bringing people's stories to light and hearing their journeys of inspiration and self-growth. But it's also about connection and knowing that you are not alone. Each week, I get the chance to sit down and talk with an amazing soul, someone I've had the blessing of either meeting or following in my life. I am so grateful for my guests. Their openness and their vulnerability, it is unmatched as we share heartfelt conversations together about both their challenges and their triumphs. I hope that you can grab some inspiration and connection from my guests and their stories. I know I certainly have with each conversation. What an honor to sit with these brave souls. Everyone has a story, folks. And every story matters. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Soul Goals. I'm Dawn. And today I have the awesome Courtney Cole joining me all the way from California. Woo-woo. Sunny out there today?
It's sunny, but crazy. We had a little rain just come down a few minutes ago, but it's sunny again. So that's California.
Yeah. Well, that's unusual. Rain.
I know. It's weird.
Well, I want to tell everybody at home the wonderful person that you are. I met Courtney like numerous years ago. And I think the last time we talked, you told me what year it was. And I totally zonked on it because I feel like it was so long ago and it totally dated me.
Yeah.
And it made me feel like I've been around for way too long.
No, same. But it was like 2013 or 2014, somewhere in there.
That's not terrible. That's not terrible.
No. It's not.
So we met one another when you were living in Nashville, but Courtney comes originally from Louisiana, and now she's hailing from California, from Los Angeles area. Courtney and I met when she was living in Nashville, working in Nashville as a country music artist. And we did some really great work together. I also remember, this is funny because it's right around the Christmas holiday and I'm looking for some stuff to do like as a project for one of my daughters. And I came across a picture of us together at Hotbox. Do you remember going to a Hotbox?
Whoa, yes, I do. Oh my gosh. And I loved Hotbox.
It was so fun.
Whoa, that was a while ago. Okay,
yes.
Now I'm starting to feel the dating. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I brought you into that whole thing now. Sorry. Well, if it says anything, we were both super active and we're still super active. But what Courtney is doing now is different than where she was when she was in Nashville. So we'll get into that and we'll kind of get the background of what's happening with you now. Seeing how when you were here in Nashville, you were a pretty successful country music artist and you were touring with a lot of big name artists. You were recording a lot, by the way, too. I remember when my kids were younger and there was a song that you put out called Drunk. It was one that you had wrote. And guys, it's not about drinking alcohol. It's completely a different premise. But my kids loved that song that you wrote and you sang. They played it nonstop in my car.
That's so fun. Drunk was the first song I ever released. So
was it really?
Yeah. And I released that in 2014. So we might even go back, Dawn, then to like 2011 or 2012.
It's further back than that.
I know. Oh no. You know what? We'll just say 2014 just to make us feel better about ourselves.
Perfect. I'm down with that. Yeah.
Good.
So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, welcome my friend Courtney Cole. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. This is so cool. It just kind of feels like a full circle moment for us and like our little friendship. So very, very cool.
Absolutely. I love talking to you at any cost and at any time. You're one of the most intriguing people just because of following your path. And I don't say that lightly. I think like our goal as being people in our bodies here is to evolve and is to grow and is to mature and change, whatever acronym or adjective you want to put on that. It's what we're here to do as people. And I really have seen that in you. And I'm really honored to be able to call you friend. So yeah.
Wow. That's actually a huge compliment because, like when it's just interesting. It's like when you sit in your own mind, your own self, it's like you go through all the stuff that you go through and you look at it and you go, wow, people must look at me as just a crazy person or just all over the place. And, the thing for me is I was actually just telling my husband this the other night. Is just I've really just been feeling into my journey in
Mm.
every like the feeling aspect of just following my heart and just feeling my way through, which a lot of times feels like I'm searching for the light switch in a lot of ways,
Oh,
but just
right.
feeling around and it's just amazing how just trusting that feeling and this little inspiration that's been coming up in me has just led to so many beautiful things. And so to hear you honor that and say that it's intriguing and inspiring, is just really, I just have so much gratitude for that
Oh,
because
well, you're welcome.
yeah,
It's heartfelt and
yeah,
it's honest. I feel like the people that I get to speak with on this podcast are filled with those things because first of all, you're willing to share your story of where you were
yeah,
and where you are now and the ups and the downs that took you to get there and how it changed. Because
yeah,
things I think for if I think about you as your goals when I knew you here living in Nashville and where you are now, it is just night and day and
right,
allowing other people to see that you can be this person but you can also find these other passions that drive you and be successful in them. And then by the way, I love that adage about I'm searching for the light switch. I think that's
yeah,
amazing because I
yeah,
think we
yeah,
all are, but what I see
totally.
differently from you is that you have found your way to different pieces of the room and you found maybe a dimmer switch, like
Yeah,
you turned it on and you've turned it
I
up
like
when you've
that.
needed to, and you've turned it
Uh,
down when you've needed to. So,
yeah, I think the thing that I've realized in all of this is that I've just kind of been blind in the room all along and everything's just been the light.
okay.
And as weird as that might seem, because I think for me and my journey, and I know we'll get into this, but just to probably sum it up, and I just look at my life and I think of this, it's been really just about learning about all the things that I cling to, like all of the things, so there were so many things. You said that my goals were so different when you knew me then, and they
Yeah.
were because they were all so incredibly ego driven. And it
Ah.
was all about me. And I was so in my trauma and my
Mhm.
drama of my
Mhm.
life, and everything was so centric of egocentric about me. And I was so in my stuff that I couldn't see that everything was already full and that
Wow.
everything was really already whole, and that I just had to kind of step into that. And so it's really been a journey. My whole journey has been a journey of me dismantling all of my programs and all of these things that
Mhm.
just keep me in that separation, and really just realizing everything is actually the light, you know?
Yeah. Gosh, that's beautiful. You just summed up life right there in a beautiful little box with a gorgeous bow on top of it.
Oh, I don't know about that because it's I mean, we're still, it's I'm still figuring it out, and we all
Yeah.
are, but it's then
Yes.
you just start to see how everything kind of comes together, and it's just wow, there's nothing, even the bad stuff or the hard stuff or the
Mhm.
weird stuff, everything that we go, or the dark stuff, when we do feel like we're walking in the dark, it's just everything is love, and everything is love teaching us lessons, and everything is love
Yes.
showing us the places that we're not free. And and so when you think about it that way, then nothing can be the darkness. It's just all
Right.
light, you know.
Right. Oh, amen, sister.
Yeah.
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 So let's go back. So, and we'll
Sorry.
revisit
Rewind.
that because I love just go pedal back. We'll go back and revisit that though, because I just really think that's a very beautiful way to sum up
Mm,
evolution as people and what it is that
yeah.
we're here driven to do.
Yeah.
And kind of will probably give a lot of credence to your story in terms of how
Mm,
you were at that one point and where you are now, because
thank you.
you were a pretty successful songwriter and recording artist, traveling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah, yeah,
mean,
yeah.
doing all sorts of stuff with not without the pitfalls that go with the music business.
Oh, yeah.
How
Heard it
did you
all.
end up in Nashville from Louisiana in the first place? Let's just kind of go back there.
Mm. So I grew up in a little town right outside of New Orleans, right north of New Orleans called Mandeville. It's a tiny little town. So cute though. It's such a beautiful place. I've really learned to appreciate it a lot since I've left.
Okay.
Now that I'm so far removed, but I grew up there, and, was in church and kind of doing the little Southern girl thing for a really, really long time. And I was actually I had a couple of dreams then. First of all, I used to have my babysitters pull me around in a sheet from room to room, when they would watch me, and I would get out in each room and I would sing in each room like I was on tour, and so they would take me in each room.
Yeah.
So and in my mind, I was Celine Dion. So I had this dream of being the next Celine Dion. I also was leading worship in church, and I loved doing that. And so, and I was a very spiritual person always growing up, even though, I never really fully understood all of it. I was always questioning. And so there was that element. And so I also was looking into going to school to do like worship leading. And then I was also doing musical theater. So then I also was looking into going to college to study musical theater. So there were like all of these things that were kind of like alive in me that I was looking to do. And the worship leader at my church, literally, like right before the last audition at the college I went to, was like, you need to check out Belmont University in Nashville, because he's like, you need to step into this like commercial music space where you're, performing and touring and doing all this. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, yes. Okay. Yes. I want to do it. So I went to Belmont and I auditioned, and I got in like at the last audition, and that was like at the end of the summer, or, I don't know, in the summer sometime. And then it was like, okay, it's time to go to school. So it was really quick turnaround. It was like very quick turnaround.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And so I ended up in Nashville, which I never really thought that I was going to do. And to be honest with you, I loved female artists growing up. I loved Celine Dion. I loved big artists like Shania Twain. I loved Martina McBride and Faith Hill. I loved Whitney Houston. I loved Mariah Carey. I just loved really strong female artists.
Right.
But if I'm being 100% honest, I did not love country music.
Oh, wow. Okay.
My parents met two-stepping in a bar. And I was surrounded by country, and
you're in Louisiana. There's Cajun country is a big deal there too.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, like I love Zydeco and like all of that stuff. I always thought that was really cool, but like, I just really didn't get into a lot of the like twangy kind of like older country stuff. It's not that I didn't, I say it, I don't mean it like in a horrible way. I just didn't, I appreciate it a lot more now than I probably did then.
Right.
So anyway, it's just really funny how I got to Nashville and I studied music. I graduated with a degree, got an internship at the end of college at a record label there, was working in publishing, and really fell in love with songwriting and started writing my own songs. I would work 9 to 5 and stay after and work from 5 to, I don't know, 9 or 10 and write my own songs. And then they started liking the songs and they signed me to my first songwriting deal. And then it was crazy how I just fell into this thing. And I started touring. I got a manager, and she started hooking me up on some tour dates. And all of a sudden I'm opening up for Miranda Lambert and Kenny Chesney and Kane Brown and all of these, it was a whirlwind of things,
Yes.
And I'm saying this in a really quick story. There was a lot of really hard times, and I was working odd jobs, and it wasn't as easy as I'm making it sound.
Sure.
But that's kind of what led me to doing all of that, was just following what I loved.
Well, how interesting too that you just said like country music really wasn't your jam.
No.
And this is what you were doing, and you were writing country music. Can you, what was your, like, I would think like that's shift number one for you. right, in your life. So how did you figure out, oh, I'm probably pretty decent at this country music thing?
Well, I genuinely fell in love with songwriting.
Okay.
I had written songs in high school, like some,
Mhm.
but until I worked at this publishing company, I was seeing people turn songs in, and I was seeing how they were crafting them and like their process of doing it. And I
Mhm.
was really inspired by that, and was like, I think I could do this too. And so I really fell in love with songwriting, and I also fell in love with how in country music they're so like descriptive and they're so
Mm.
honest in their
Yeah.
writing. And so it just was like a lesson for me in how to just be really authentic and share my story. And not,
Yes.
I was doing musical theater for so long where I was sharing other people's stories, and songwriting in Nashville really helped me to hone in to connecting to my own truth and then
Mhm.
sharing that in a creative way.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. How was your time at Belmont, by the way? I'm a Belmont graduate as well, but
Ah!
not of commercial music. So
Go Bruins, go Bruins.
go Bruins.
It was great. I met so many amazing people there. There were so
Mhm.
many great songwriters there.
Mhm.
There was so many opportunities to perform and to just, you know, just do what I love.
Yeah.
There were so many times I felt like I had to pinch myself because I was like, "Oh my gosh,
Uh,
I'm at school, but
yes. Yeah.
I'm like learning all of this stuff that I just
Yeah.
love." Like it just felt like a dream. It really did.
Yes. So tell me a little bit about what was the time frame for you in country music in Nashville before you realized personally that, hey, there's something bigger inside of me, or what, or had that even happened to you? Did you just feel this drive to move into something different, not even knowing what it was?
Yeah, so I've always from a really young age like knew that there was something pulling me like into this just that there was something greater beyond even what I had learned in church and like
Mhm.
all of this stuff. I just remember this one moment where I was like probably 8 years old, and um there was my household was I grew up in like a really wonderful little town, but like my parents kind of had a really hard relationship. There
Mhm.
was a lot of drama in our household
Mhm. Mhm.
quite often, and so I just remember sometimes feeling a little uneasy.
Mhm.
And I remember being like 8 years old and somewhere 7 or 8, something like that. And we had gone to church, like we would go to church, and experience that. And I was always just very interested in Jesus. I thought he was like a really cool dude, and I'm like,
Right?
wow, he's got a lot of cool stuff going on.
Yeah.
And I remember feeling like sad in my room one day, and I said a prayer in my room, and I was like, I don't know like who you are or what you are or like, but I do feel like a presence here, and I do feel
Mhm.
like I'm saying this in like little kid words,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
not
Yeah.
the way I'm saying it now, but
Yeah.
I just remember feeling really connected to this spirit and just saying, if you are real and if this is true, can you just give me a sign? I could really use a hug right now.
Yeah.
And my room was in the back of the house. And my mom was in the kitchen washing dishes at the time. And all of a sudden, after I said amen in that prayer, my mom walked into my room and she gave me a hug.
Oh my gosh.
I was so scared. Like I had seen a ghost. Like I
Oh
was literally
no.
like, am I on candid camera? Like what's happening?
Someone
You know,
someone has
like
heard this. No.
yeah, no, it scared me. It
Oh.
actually really scared me. And I was frozen, and I asked my mom, I said, "Mom, like why did you come in here and give me a hug?" And her response was, "I don't know, I just felt like I wanted to come in here and give you a hug right now."
Oh, Courtney, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and so after that, I had always felt this pull, and then I
Mhm.
was in church and everything, I was like feeling connected to that, but it never felt like I was like, "Oh, there's more, there's more, there's
Yeah.
more." You
Yeah.
know, like, this is not the same feeling that I had then, and this like, there's a direction here, and I'm feeling a pull to, like, go
Right.
through this. So I studied. I was going to studying the Bible. I was going to classes. I was studying all of this stuff, but I was like, "There's more, there's more, there's more." So it really started probably it was actually the retreat when I wrote Drunk. We were in a cabin in the woods up there, in Gatlinburg,
Okay.
and uh-oh, did you cut out for a second? Are you
Oh,
there?
you're good. You're there.
Okay,
I see you.
perfect.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. We were in a cabin in the woods in Gatlinburg, and this wonderful songwriter that I was with, her name's Kat Gravitt. She's a dear, dear friend of mine and just
Mhm.
incredible spiritual mentor. She, we had these amazing conversations out on the patio, and we were talking about spirituality. We were talking about all this stuff, and she gave me these books, and they were basically what I needed to kind of like bridge this gap between Jesus and like this overall unified field that just I've been tapping into a lot lately. And these books, I think they were called like the Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East or something like crazy
Okay.
like that,
Okay.
you know? And I read
Yeah.
these books and they just opened my mind to so much.
Mhm.
And it was through that I started all this stuff started coming up with like different programmings and things
Mhm.
that I was starting to see in my family and things that I was starting to see activated in me through some of
Yeah.
my family systems. And it was actually starting to get to me to a point where I was feeling like mentally just like overwhelmed. And I was having these crazy, crazy dreams.
Mm.
And they were all just really scary and
Mhm.
just stuff coming up. And then one of those final dreams from that segment of time, I had this dream where I was floating backwards through space, and all of a
Okay.
sudden I wasn't scared, and then all of a sudden I stopped. I was completely sober, by the way. I don't
Okay.
do drugs.
There's
Um,
nothing in
there's
you.
not, yeah, no.
Yeah.
So I stopped in space, and I was so just like mesmerized by the beauty of outer space,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden I could feel my arms and my legs, but when I looked down to actually see them physically, they weren't there.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden my heart just burst open and I felt myself as everything.
Ah, yeah.
And it was that dream. I call it my space dream.
Yeah.
I woke up and I was trying to go back to sleep. I was trying to go back to
Yeah.
sleep. I was crying. I woke up, tears were streaming down my face because
Oh.
it was like the most peaceful, loving, gracious,
Mhm.
humble moment of just feeling myself as not my body, but
Yeah.
just aware of
Yeah.
everything. And um,
The ego was gone.
the ego was gone.
Yeah.
It was gone.
Mhm.
And it was just like this cosmic mind. And
Mm.
um, it was beautiful. And it was from that point on that I realized that there's no religion, there's no anything that could ever touch this experience.
Mhm.
And so it's just what is, right? So
Mhm.
it sent me that dream just sent me on a whole nother path, which just started to I say it this way, it started to refine my taste
Okay.
in my desires of
Oh,
like, so the need for validation in the way that I was going to always receiving it wasn't it anymore. I didn't
yeah.
need that anymore.
Yeah.
The stuff that was starting to happen with my family, it was I was seeing it with a lot more compassion and
Yes.
understanding and
Mhm.
realizing everyone's just in their own stuff, in
Mhm.
their own ego, and they're unaware. And like, I just started seeing things differently, and it was refining my view and my taste and my desires. And
Yeah.
so then as the universe often does, it tests us, you know, and
Mhm. Yes.
all of this stuff was happening, and my worst nightmare happened. I always said this would be my worst nightmare, is if
Oh,
I
no.
like lost my manager, lost my publishing deal, lost my booking agent. It was incredible how all that went away in a
Yeah.
very short amount of time.
Oh, wow.
And I was driving Uber and I was eating a spoonful of sunflower seed butter every morning because I couldn't afford groceries.
Oh,
I had
wow.
no income. And I was just like, all of that dream, everything that I thought I had wanted in my life went away.
Yeah. Wow.
And it was like, all right, this is like the ultimate test. So I ended up
Mm.
kind of coming out here and I moved out to California. I just had always felt the pull. And I
Mhm.
had just been out here playing Stagecoach. I played main stage at Stagecoach and then came back and was like driving Uber and like it was such a
That's
trippy
so
time in my life.
crazy.
It was such a weird time in my life.
Yeah.
So I moved out here and I always say God kind of plucked me from Nashville to LA to just like heal. And I got a
Mhm.
paddleboard with a little extra tour money that I had, and I just sat in the ocean and just was like, all right, let's rebuild this. And
Wow. You
started writing
started
new
back from
music.
square one.
Oh yeah, started new music,
Yeah.
started to write about my feelings, started to really experience this stuff deeper, led me to India to study this
Yeah.
stuff and
Yeah.
I just yeah, it's been a wild ride.
Yeah. Do you think there was a lot, because as I'm hearing you tell this story, I feel like there's a piece of you that just cracked open and was
Yeah.
like, I can't be the person that I am being, that I've put, but the clothes that I've put on myself for this season of my life, I can't exist in this way anymore. Meaning in Nashville as a country music artist,
Yeah.
because the authenticity for that for you was not your center anymore.
Yeah, it's weird because it's like there's a part of me that like still really wanted that, but I had to evaluate the parts of myself that wanted that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I started to evaluate the parts that wanted that, I started to see so much of my trauma that was wrapped in that.
Wow, yeah.
And that
Mhm.
was pushing that forward. And there was a lot of expectation and people pleasing. And
Mhm.
um, there was so much wrapped in that.
Yes.
And I just feel like for me that I didn't want it if it was going to come at the cost of all of that stuff
Mhm.
anymore. And I
Mhm.
just felt really at the place in my life where I just wanted to heal those things. And if my music career was successful after that, wonderful.
Great, yeah, yeah. But
But
you
if
were
it's,
willing, you
yeah,
were absolutely willing to let that part of your life go that you
yes,
had strived for. Like, you were in college for 4 years, and that was your
yes,
goal. And
yes.
and beyond that,
It was my dream
before
from
that.
being a child, and
Yeah.
everybody pushed that in me too. It was like, "Oh, Courtney can sing, like, this is gonna
That
be
was
her
your identity.
thing."
Like, that was your
Yes,
identity. Wow.
100%.
Like, speak to that just a little bit, because I feel like there's a lot of people in the world that are in those positions of,
Mm,
this is my identity, whether it's your job, whether it's your relationship, whether it's whatever it is that you do, or that you do well. Like, you were a singer, like, you're known as Courtney the singer.
yeah,
So when you're not Courtney the singer, I mean, you're living an authentic existence, but where's the questioning coming then from you, going, is this the right thing to do? Because everybody's told me this is what I do. Is that another, like, crux that you had to kind of work through?
no, absolutely,
Oh,
and I think that there's a, I don't know, I just think that there's we like, society tells us that we have to have one thing that like makes us, and it's always we're just always being told by society who we are, and I just think that we come here, like you said, we come here to evolve,
mhm.
and we come that is literally like we think we have one purpose: to be a singer, to be a garbage man, to be a mailman. Like we think that that's our purpose, but really those things in our life, and this is just all what I'm experiencing. So this could be
Right,
total, somebody could be listening to this going, "Oh, like whatever, this girl's full of it right now."
right.
But this is just my own experience. I really believe that me coming here with the dream and the desire to be a singer is just a focal point
Okay.
for my evolution.
Okay.
And so if I can look at that and I can see that in all of this, like I just had to be aware. The whole point is for us to become aware of why we desire what we desire. And then
Mm-hmm.
and we can use all of that stuff as a way to free ourselves and as a way to step in the direction of liberation. It's
Yes.
not that if you don't achieve what your family has told you, your dream of being a lawyer, say that's been pushed on you and it's something you didn't want to do. It's
Mm-hmm.
not about you going and achieving that and having that validation. It's about you waking up to the fact that this is something that was projected onto you
Mm-hmm.
and saying, this is not something that I truly desire,
Right.
and finding the courage and the bravery to know that this isn't something that defines you and that you can still be something more outside of that, and
Right.
taking that step, and that's you're just moving in the direction of liberation constantly.
Yes.
You
And I
know,
think I think you said it too, courage and bravery to be
yeah,
able to take that step. Cause that's a big thing. Cause a therapist said this years ago, and it still rings true with everybody and everything in different circumstances. The pain of change is worse than the pain of staying the same.
100%.
I mean, it's
No,
hard
it's
to
so
make those
true.
changes.
No, it's so hard. And
How did you, when you moved, not having an idea of what you were going to do, was there a piece of you that was like, "Oh, thank God I'm starting something new"? Or was there a piece of you larger that was saying, I'm a little bit freaked out, wigged out, and I feel like I need to know what the next step is going to be? Or were you
well,
just, here
yeah.
I am?
I think a lot of times, like, we don't step forward into the next thing because we don't know who we are without something, like
Right.
whether it's our pain or anything. It's like a lot of people, we stay in our trauma and our stuff because who would we be without the drama?
Yeah.
Who would we be without the chaos? There was so much of that I had to even work through, even in my relationship with my husband, because I grew up in a bit of witnessing chaotic relationships, that I didn't know who I was in a normal, calm relationship. So
Wow. Yeah.
um, it's like it's just about being able to. It's that courage to be able to step outside and say, I know that I'm not going to fall on my face completely. Like, I'm
Mhm.
still going to live if
Yeah.
I like drop this thing. Like, and you have to be able to face that and
Yeah.
say, there's going to be a period of time where I'm going to feel completely lost and not know who I am because this thing has ruled so much of my space.
Yes.
And
Amen.
I
Mhm.
feel like I honestly like am still coming out of that, because
Mhm.
for me, my whole life was all around Courtney is going to be a star
Yeah.
and she is going to be famous and she's going to do music or be an actress or be whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And for me to let that go completely, I feel like I found so much of a deeper aspect of myself
Yeah.
that goes beyond myself. It's
Mm.
not even about
Mhm.
myself anymore. It's
Mhm.
just about being in tune and in alignment, and just it's kind of what they say when, like, they say, oh, you have to, like, you can say what you want but then you have to release the outcome. It's
Yes.
about doing that. It's like you can have these desires but you can just kind of release into all this, and you can just go, okay, I'm going to step into something outside of myself and I'm just going to be here
Mhm.
with what is, and
Mhm.
then if it happens, great. If it doesn't, great. Either way, I'm full.
Yeah. And I think that's where people get stuck.
Yeah,
It's that
100%.
expectation of, I have this goal and this is how I want it to happen. It's our control mechanism kicking in that we want to, it's going to happen X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, then like we're a failure,
Yeah.
or if it doesn't happen at all, we're a failure.
Yeah, and that's all
So
ego. It's all
Yeah.
ego because
Yeah.
if you're calling yourself something, rather, even if it's successful or a failure, it's all ego.
Still ego. Yeah.
It's all ego.
Ah, deep thoughts with Courtney
Yeah.
Cole. I
I mean,
mean,
but it's true.
it's so true.
Like
So
if
true.
you call yourself, successful or you call yourself a failure, like either way, it's like they're both kind of wrong. It's like you're just always full,
Yeah.
So I guess in that way you're always a success, but it's just like if you're claiming something to be something like that, then it's all just out of the ego.
Yes. 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 How did you, when you got to California, sitting on the paddleboard, just
Mm-hmm.
saying, okay, here we are. I'm open with really no plan. I mean, I feel like people will hear this, and if I would have heard this probably 20 years ago, I'd have been like, oh my God, she has no plan. Oh my God, I'm so
No.
scared for her. I'm so worried for her. So,
Yeah. You
life
should have
like,
been. I was like, well, I don't know what I could have floated away for all I know.
but like, what was it? Was it finally that drive that I'm ready to just do something different. I don't want to exist in the way that I've been existing anymore. Was that your
Hmm.
drive? Or do you just feel like it was just your natural evolution?
Yeah, well, when I was sitting on the paddleboard, I was still kind of one foot in and one foot out. So I
Okay.
was sitting on the paddleboard going, oh, okay, I moved to LA. I'm still gonna be a famous singer. But then
Okay.
I was like, I don't know what to do. It's just like,
Yeah.
calm down, little girl, like,
Yes. Yes.
um, so at that point, the reason I wanted a paddleboard, I had just gotten off this one tour and I bought myself a little present with
Okay.
this paddleboard. And I bought the paddleboard because I was terrified of the ocean.
Oh, wow.
And yeah. Well, and I love the ocean. Like I'll go sit on the beach all day long, but then,
Yeah.
you put me in the water and I'm like, sharks. Like I literally think that a shark is like just waiting with its mouth open for me every time I'm in there, like,
Courtney's coming.
yeah,
Let's
like
go now.
that's how I feel. I literally believe that in my mind. So, and I still feel that way. That fear has actually never gone away.
Wow.
But the thing that I wanted to do is it's like, okay, if I can get this board and just paddle a little bit into the ocean every day,
Mhm.
like my idea was if I can face this fear and I can accomplish this, then I can face the fear of being in a new city in Los Angeles and
Yeah.
whatever that's going to bring, great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so just it's stepping into the unknown.
Yes.
And the ocean for me is stepping into the unknown. So they were very like equal for that, like in
Yeah.
that for me. Um, and what's funny is in my small brain, I was thinking at that time, oh, it'll prepare me to be still like a famous singer, like to come in and step into LA and still be a famous singer. Like I'm just stepping
Okay.
into a new industry in LA. It's a different pop world, new
Yeah.
people, new connections, new this and this and that. But what I didn't realize is that it opened me up to so much more. And I think that that's the beauty of stepping into the unknown.
Mhm.
And what I've learned about expectation is like, if we continue to live in our stuff and make expectations out of things and just live so firmly in that, we
Yeah.
miss everything else that can happen.
Yes.
And just our world is in our like this existence, even beyond our world, even in like all throughout the universe, you just see so many possibilities, and we're
Mhm.
still learning all of the things that make us exist in this space. Everything is just full of potential and
Right.
possibilities, and they even talk about that in quantum physics.
Right.
So
Right.
it's just amazing how when you open yourself up and you step into that unknown space,
Mhm.
that's what there is, space.
What do
And
you
when there's space, everything comes in.
Right. Well, but what do you think is people's holdback to be able to do that? Is it genuine fear of the unknown? Is it
Control.
control? It's control.
Yeah, because you wanna know we wanna know. Look at how we've organized society.
Yeah.
It's like we want to know that we have all the answers and that we're safe. We don't really know anything.
Yeah.
We don't even know fully why we're here on this planet existing,
Yeah.
but we want to know. And so,
Mhm.
and we've organized religions, and we've organized, just so many things in society that have tried to rationalize that for us so that
Mhm.
we can feel safe and comfortable.
Yes.
And that's what we do on an individualized scale too,
Right.
is we're trying to control the idea that we are okay and that we're safe and
Mhm.
that we're comfortable and that we have
Mhm.
all the answers and we know what we're doing.
Right. And that gets us wrapped up in our head.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And it makes
Yeah.
sense because we all want to feel safe and we all want to
Yeah.
feel like we know where we're going and that we're not just tapping around in a dark room looking for the light. We don't want to
Yes.
feel that way,
Yeah.
you
It's
know.
scary.
It's terrifying. And
Mhm.
so it's just when you live in that fear,
Mhm.
it's very debilitating. We might
Yes.
be moving around doing things, but we're still debilitated.
Yeah. You're a high functioning, debilitated
Debilitated person.
person. Yeah. You're a high functioning,
Yes.
debilitated person. Yes.
Exactly.
We need to we need to
We
put
need
that in
to
some kind of thesaurus dictionary. I don't know, some kind of textbook someplace.
totally.
Totally, totally.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, one foot in, one foot out. Tell
Yeah.
me how your musical career, once you moved to LA, ended up shifting into what you're doing now, which is the creation of I could call it a company, if you will, but an organization called the Love Freak. And I'm not
Yeah.
saying FREAK. I'm
No.
talking Love Freak,
Yes.
FREQ, like frequency.
Frequency, but also it's like kind of like that double entendre thing, you know?
Yep.
It
Gotcha.
can go for both. Yeah, so the Love Freak came about actually during COVID times. I was
Okay.
going through just gosh, I mean, just so much of the muck, like
Yeah. Mhm.
dismantling,
Mhm.
dismantling. And I think that was a lot of what COVID was for a lot of people,
Right.
in
Yeah.
a lot of different ways. Mine was so much just family stuff was coming up, so much. I was just really just in a lot of I was in the thick of it. And
Yeah.
so there was stuff coming up there and was really starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel and making sense of all of this
Okay.
and making sense of, oh my gosh, like I'm still in my ego, I'm still living this, I still need to let go and let go and let go. And I was meditating I was even doing this in Nashville though. So this is kind of, it all kind of ties itself up and nicely in a little bow. But
Okay.
I was always attracted to meditating to solfeggio frequencies. So
Mhm.
I always was drawn to 528 hertz.
Okay.
And 528 hertz is known as the love frequency.
Okay.
And not like love as in like, oh, I love you, you love me, we're in a relationship and we go on dates. Not like that. It's like
Yeah.
love as in love as the foundational layer of existence. It's like the unity frequency.
Universal
Unified
love.
field. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was realizing, I'm starting to realize, oh, we're like all in this unified field. Oh,
Mhm.
it's not just about me and my ego. It's about this like cosmic mind. It's about
Mhm.
all this stuff starting to come together. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And so I was sitting actually on my bed one day and I was talking about the love freak to my husband or the love frequency. And
Mhm.
I talked about having a podcast about just talking about dismantling programs
Yes.
and coming to that unified field. And I'm like, oh, it would be cool if it was like the Love Freak, then I said, oh my gosh, that's a cool name, like
That's it?
frequent. Yeah, it just like kind of came to me,
Yeah.
and so it started off as a podcast, and which I was doing for a really long time. I actually am about to start it back up again, I think.
Yes.
But it started off as a podcast, and then all of this stuff led me to India, which I've always wanted to go to India.
Okay.
And I've always felt a pull to go there,
Mhm.
and I wanted to study all of this stuff more. So I went to India and I studied yoga, and I started to see how music and yoga and spirituality all just intersected in this
Mhm.
like beautiful way, and how just this whole foundational layer of existence is vibratory energy, and how this is just like a beautiful cosmic symphony of just stuff, it's just
Yes.
beautiful to me. So I started learning all of that, and the Love Freak just turned into this space of kind of a wellness platform where
Mhm.
it's just all about really tuning our individualized ego mind to that of the cosmic mind,
Right.
and doing that through um, cooling our nervous system through pranayama
Mm.
practices.
Mhm.
And you can get to that space in a lot of ways, and i'm,
Yeah.
I'm never going to be a person that's going to say you have to do this or that. But I have learned so many beautiful practices that have helped me really tune into that space and go
Yes.
deep and
Yeah.
live from that space. And so I've just been teaching that through the Love Freak, through this wellness platform, but also where it all comes full circle is the Love Freak is also, I sing a lot of my own music that I write about my healing, but I
Okay.
also sing a lot of like mantras and like
Yes.
just really beautiful like meditation music.
Mhm.
And when I teach, I also sing and bring that forth in my classes.
Right.
So um, it's been so fulfilling, and has just been such a way for me to share what I'm I don't know, just like what I've just been working to do within myself with other
Mhm.
people, and encouraging them to, heal their stories
Right.
and move into that space. Because the more and more we each do that, I feel like that's how we heal the world, right? Is just leading everybody to that unity consciousness, and
Yes.
everybody just waking up to that and going, oh, like we've only created all of the stuff that keeps us separate, you
Yeah.
know?
And then when you can step in and do your work in a way that is wholesome and
Yeah.
fulfilling, and really truly a part of you and a part of the
Yeah.
universe, and like don't at the risk of sounding hokey schmokey or anything of that nature,
It's all hokey schmokey in
it
a
is all hokey
beautiful
schmokey.
way.
It's but it's very true. It's
Yeah,
about
it is.
going really deep and doing that really necessary inner work. And one of the really beautiful vehicles to get to that point is the things that you're teaching. Is
Yes,
through
yes.
very basic breath work, very basic meditation work, very basic movement, and the sound meditation that goes along with it, because we are so wrapped with that.
Absolutely.
Like
And
if
we
I think
hold,
about driving down the road and turning on a song that I'm like, I really could just really want to hear that song. I turn that song on and I'm just, before I know it, I've driven like 10 miles, listened to that song on repeat, and it's resonated with me. So there's something
totally.
to what it is that you're doing. I'm just putting that out there for people that may go, wow, 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 wow,
Oh,
wow, because it's
yeah.
very true.
No, it's so true. And there's so much stuff that we like energy wise that we hold in our body
Mhm.
that does keep us, that does activate certain energy also in our mind and everything, keeping us in our stuff,
Yes.
and so we hold on to so much of that. So, through breath work and, through just gentle movement and then using our will and the
Mhm.
power of sound and intention to speak and or chant or whatever you want to do to
Mhm.
those parts, and allowing that to move
Yes.
um is so huge.
Yes.
And if you would have told me that like 10 years ago, I'd have been like, I kind of believe you, but that's weird. And then, but it's like, no,
Yeah.
it's true, but you have to experience it. and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's what I'm also yoga for me is like the state, the practice, but the experience of
Mhm.
unity. And you have to be
Mhm.
able to fully, language can only take it so far. Language is
Correct.
limited and only something that we've created too.
Mhm.
Like, so you have to be able to be led into that experience
Right. That
to
feeling.
fully let it
Mhm.
activate in you.
Mhm. Yeah. I had a
Yeah.
mentor once tell me that the issues are in our tissues. Like
Yes,
we
100%.
store that stuff.
Yeah.
We hear that stuff, how we speak to ourselves, how we address ourselves, how others address us, and what we pull in and what we
Totally.
hang on to, that then becomes, if we go right back to square one about identity, like you talked about earlier, and
Yeah.
then you buy that story, and then someone else's story becomes your story, and then you're left to try to undo all that stuff from
Absolutely.
years of entanglement, if you will. So
Totally.
I love what you're doing, because I think it's a gentle yet very effective way to
Mm,
help move some of those traumas and some of those issues out of our tissues in a very,
absolutely.
very loving manner.
Oh, it's all love, right?
Yeah.
All love.
All love. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit more. You're getting ready to start the podcast back up, correct?
I'm thinking so. Yeah, I haven't fully put my attention there quite yet because I've really been working on just building everything with the Love Freak and
Yeah.
getting all of the little pieces together to make it its little beautiful little thing,
Yes.
which has been so fun. It's been such a project,
Hmm.
in like a really fun creative project. It's like when I write a song, it feels like putting out a little song baby. Like the Love
Yeah.
Freak has just been such a fun little thing to just put together and offer just as a way to just give what I've been learning, back. And so that's been great. But yeah, so that's happening. And then I'm working on a little music project
Okay.
that's like a combination of like mantra and some songs that I've written
Ooh.
along with my like kind of it's just intertwining everything.
Yeah.
So there's a lot coming that's just felt so inspiring
Hmm.
to get into and
I'm excited
yeah,
for
it's
you. I
just
think
fun.
it sounds right in line with where you're headed, you
Yeah,
know?
it's just been fun and it feels good. So,
Yeah. It feels
yeah.
right.
Yeah,
You're
just it's
following something
flowing.
that feels right. Yeah. And like you
Exactly.
said a little bit ago, 10 years ago, somebody would have said you'd be talking about this, and this would be like the road you're driving down now. You would have been like,
Yeah.
What?
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, but
Yeah.
I also wouldn't have understood everything that it took to get there. And then
Mm,
if you would have told me that and given me the clarity of like what it all means of just healing and coming back to that unified space, I would have been like, "Oh, I get it. Okay.
yeah. But you had to go through those different
Experience
experiences and
it."
those different
Yes.
seasons. And
Yes.
and we'll just go back into that for just a little minuscule second here. It's
Yeah.
really important to have those dark times, you
Totally.
know? I think it
They're
gives
so
clarity
important.
and reference to what it is that you're trying to achieve, and it
Yeah.
sucks. It sucks,
You know
but it's
what's
a part.
amazing though? No, it is a part, and it's like what's amazing is like if you can if you can show up to those hard times in a
Mhm,
really like way where you're just self-aware and it's
mhm.
really hard and sometimes, like but if you can just be aware, that's it.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. Just be aware. It's amazing how those times can expedite the process and the way toward liberation.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, if we sit in it and we choose to just sit in it and we just choose to say that, oh, it's just happening to me, like life is just awful
Wow,
and
yeah,
all
yeah,
of these things, that, oh, then you just stay in it. And then it's actually becomes very regressive. Like you're
yeah,
not progressive, you know?
yeah.
So it's just amazing. It's just taking that time to just be self aware and say, okay,
What would you say to somebody that may be listening to this and saying, "Yeah, okay, that's great talk about step." I understand what she's saying.
yeah.
Stepping out, making the first step to get out of your comfort zone. I mean, what would you say to them to encourage them to, "Hey, it's worth it."
Yeah.
Or
It's definitely worth it, but I think it really does kind of go back to that probably self-awareness thing. Like
Mhm.
you start to see if you can just stay self-aware, if you can be self-aware. We all have times where people have told us like something that hits us a little too true or
Yes.
whatever, and then we brush it off because we're like, oh no, 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 no. It's too
Yeah.
much for us to see,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But what if you did just stay a little self-aware and you stayed in those moments, or you felt something when you're going through a hard time and you're going, oh, like, I just need to maybe, instead of going down this way with relationships and letting someone speak to me this way, I'm just going to gently change this behavior in me, and just because this has been a habit for me, I'm going to
Yeah.
just gently just shift this a little bit.
Yeah.
When you start to do that, and you start to actually see it working, it's just amazing.
Yeah. That's your validation.
That's your validation. Yeah. So I would just say just take little steps, and those things that have been gnawing at you that you've pushed down, just notice them and just try to do one thing different the next time.
Yeah. Great advice.
And see how you just keep stepping into the direction of your freedom.
Yes. And I love it how you said liberation. It's liberating, not like in World War II liberation. We're talking about liberating your soul, liberating yourself as a person,
exactly,
freeing yourself from all of the stuff that you've been sitting in and existing in. And that's that growth that we all, as as souls here in the world, are really truly desire to change and to shift and to move through.
Yeah. And it's our purpose.
That's it. Yeah. That's purpose. Purpose.
And so if you're sitting there and you're thinking, oh God, I'm in this hard phase. God, I'm purposeless. What is my purpose? You're in it. You're in your purpose. Your purpose is right here, right now. Just be self-aware, and your purpose is to evolve. So whether it is washing the dishes or going out to get the mail, you are always in your purpose if you can just keep stepping in the direction of liberation. Because like you said at the beginning of the podcast, we're here to evolve. And that's it. So if our small mind is going to always tell us, no, we're here to make money, or we're here to be famous, or we're here to whatever it is, that's just such a short-sighted view of purpose. And purpose is the same for each of us, because we really are one soul, one mind. And it's just for us to evolve.
Yeah.
So just keep stepping in the direction of liberation.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. What is, where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
Where do I see myself in 5 years from now? Let's see. I see myself, just continuing to make music in my own way, not trying to fit into any genre, or just really living out of that space that I loved when I was a kid, where I was just creating and just putting I see myself just continuing to free myself in those ways of just living in genuine creativity, that pure creativity. And I see myself continuing to teach and just sharing this information in whatever capacity that I keep showing up. Like my thing is like, I just keep showing up. And that's been my thing, where it's like, I'm going to take this step. Okay. It's amazing how I got asked to start teaching at this place down the street, and I actually turned it down. I'm laughing at myself because I actually turned it down, because it was like, I can't teach at this place because I need my freedom to do this, and this, and that. And like, I can't teach every week. I actually said no. And they came back to me a little bit later, and they were like, would you mind just do one class a week? Like, we can find you a sub if you're not going to be there. And I'm like, what am I doing? I'm trying to control.
Yes.
Then I'm going to show up. So I stepped in and I started teaching, and it has opened up so many things in my mind and in my spirit and just in my direction. So I think for me, just showing up in any way that I'm just going to keep showing up.
Yeah.
So it could look so many different ways, but I'm just going to keep feeling into all of this and seeing where it goes.
I love that. The universe knocked once.
Yeah.
You're like,
totally.
meh.
That was a huge lesson for me.
Yeah. It was like, tick, 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 tick. I'm back.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly.
I mean, do you feel like you've
Hilarious.
had those instances more than just that time?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel like that stuff happens a lot for me, but what's
Mhm.
been really, really interesting for me is, like, when I was trying so hard to push in my music of, like, being like, in pop music or country music. I was pushing so hard and trying so, and all the doors just kept going, "Shut, shut, shut, shut,"
Yeah.
and I would hit, like, walls every single time, and what's so funny to me is now that I've just kind of like let that go, breathing into this, and then just showing up each space of like just the next right thing, how it's just been stuff like that where it's like all of a sudden all these doors are opening and I'm
Yeah.
going, "What?"
What is this happening?
Because I thought I had to try, like I thought I had to like just
Yeah.
bust my ass all the time, you know? Like
Mhm,
what's
mhm.
happening?
Yeah.
And it's just been just no, just do the next right thing. Do the next right thing. Do the next right thing.
Mm.
Do the next right
Mhm.
thing. Ah, this feels great. Wonderful.
Yeah. It's
It's
following
weird.
your soul's path, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
You are the epitome of what I'm calling the soul goals. You're following your soul's goals.
Oh, yay!
Mic drop. There you go. Like, totally.
Good. That's
Yeah.
funny. Yeah, but it's true. It's very
Yeah.
true.
It's so true. So we got a little bit deep in this conversation, but I think
Yep.
it's valuable because I think it gives you
Mhm.
food for thought.
Yeah,
And,
for sure.
if one person can hear one thing that you've said today and go, I'm going to ruminate on that for a little bit, or it's going to be stuck kind of back here in the back of their head. And it's something that can
Yeah.
benefit them, next week, next month, next year. Like,
Totally.
yeah, that's how we learn from each other in sharing our journeys and,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah, all the things that go with it. So thank you for
Yeah.
sharing so intimately the
Oh,
things that
yes.
you have found around and about your path. And that, gosh, I love that you just said, I was push, 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 push. And every door was going boom, boom, boom. It's all shutting.
Yeah,
It's because that was that ego driven push
it
of
was.
that control that we talked about earlier.
Yep.
Yeah, and driving the
It's
bus
so
from that
true.
place. Gosh, how hard that is to let go. So it's no small feat
Nope.
to get the paddleboard, go out to the ocean and
Step into
hang
the
out.
unknown or paddle into the unknown.
Paddling into the unknown. Yeah, for
Exactly.
sure, for sure. So,
Exactly.
I wanna lighten it just a little bit here at the end and
Okay.
ask some rapid fire questions, some fun little
Yeah.
things to get to know you a little bit deeper and a little bit
Yeah.
more
Okay. All
on
right.
an intimate scale here. So, are you ready? Yeah?
Ready.
Okay. All right. Number 1, what was your first ever job?
My first ever job was working at my church.
Okay. What did you do for
Yeah.
them?
I worked with the worship leader and was like organizing files and paperwork and
Oh,
stuff for them. Yeah.
oh, I love it. So you were out, I
Yeah.
mean, you were in music for a very long time.
Oh, very long time.
Yes. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2, where did you go on your last vacation with your husband?
Sicily.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Oh, pretty. And I know you said you traveled to India, but okay, Sicily,
Yeah. Oh wait.
like
Yeah. Oh wait, no, because he didn't come with me to India. So with my
with
husband,
your husband,
yeah, Sicily. Yeah.
Sicily. Oh, what was your favorite part of that?
Everything.
Wait, I think I
The
saw on your story you were like you had posted pictures and stuff like you were eating amazing food,
the
and I
food
was
is
like,
incredible. And I think the thing that we loved the most probably there was there's a huge volcano there, Mount Etna.
yeah,
And there's this region there of wines that come from like that fertile ground of Mount Etna.
okay.
And they're called like Etna Rossos, and they're just like these beautiful red wines that are just so amazing. And so we have a Total Wine down the street from us, and they actually have Etna Rosso wine. And
Oh,
so we'll
wow.
we'll go down there and get a few bottles, yeah, because we just loved the wine
Yeah.
there. It was
It's
so
reminiscent of
magical.
your experience then.
Yeah, exactly,
Oh, I love
exactly.
that.
Yeah, yeah, and like just being in nature and with Mount Etna, and then we
Mhm.
stayed on this little island called Stromboli, which is just a pure volcano, and it
Oh,
erupts every 15 minutes, like little eruptions.
what?
Yeah, it was like it was so just, you felt so connected there just to nature and just,
Wow.
yeah, it was
Oh,
beautiful.
beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. Okay. Are you going to go back soon, or do you have
I wish. I don't know. Probably not to Sicily, but somewhere. We'll go somewhere soon.
Somewhere. Okay. Number 3, what is your go-to lazy dinner? Easiest thing for you to make?
Well, if it's a lazy dinner, I'm probably going to go out.
Okay.
And there's an Indian restaurant right around the corner that I always go to.
Perfect. That's perfect.
We did that last night, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, lazy
All
dinner.
right. Number 4, do you make New Year's resolutions?
I used to. I'm kind of in the state where I kind of was talking about a minute ago, where I just like to just show up. I feel like when you kind of get wrapped around the New Year's resolution thing, there's a lot of pressure, and it's a lot of that ego thought that you kind of get wrapped up in. And then a lot of times we let ourselves down with a lot of that stuff. So I've really just been trying to keep stepping into the next right thing. That's always so I have I feel like I'm always, my New Year's resolution is just my life, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. And I love that you explained it like it's a pressure thing. A lot of times we put so much pressure on ourselves every day as people in this world and society that, it makes total sense to me.
Yeah. And it's just kind of one of like our little societal, ideas and things that we've kind of created. So I just try to, like, I don't, anybody who doesn't, I'm like, that's wonderful. And I think it's, I think it's a great way to goal set and to start the year off great. But, for me, I just am like, I'm going to try and stay open because the pressure makes me close.
Yeah. Well, you know that about yourself.
Yeah. The pressure makes me close. So.
Amen. All right. Number 5, what do you wish that you had learned earlier or sooner?
What do I wish that I had learned earlier or sooner? Probably just to trust myself. Probably I wish that I would have known like my space dream, just probably that unified aspect of everything.
Oh yeah.
That's what I wish I would have been able to activate that within me earlier, because it just changes the game so much.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah. You're living it. You're doing it. It's great. Oh, Courtney, I adore you. I'm so, so, so thankful for you as a friend and as just another lovely person in my life that has such a drive to, you're walking your walk, talking your talk. And that's a hard thing to do. That's a hard thing to do. So,
no, thank you so much for saying that.
Truly. Absolutely.
Thank you. Same goes back to you. And thank you for letting me be a part of your little community here. This is awesome.
Well, absolutely. Anytime. I'm going to have you come back on sometime next year and we'll catch back up to where you are with the Love Freak. Because
I'm in, and then maybe you can come join the Love Freak podcast when I start it back up.
Let's do it. Yes, for sure. Well, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, great rest of your week. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Hopefully I'll be out in the West Coast in the next
Come on. We'll take you anytime.
Let's go. I'm down. I'm there with you, girl. All right. Have a wonderful day, girl. Thank you. Thanks so much for tuning in today, guys. If you have an idea for an interview or you would like to share your own story, I would love to hear from you. Send me a message at dawn@thesoulgoals.com. If you enjoyed today's podcast, I'd love for you to leave a review and to consider following and subscribing to the show. With weekly releases, there is always another interesting story to be heard. I do hope that today's guests and their words have helped to bring some extra light to your day and encouraged you to find a deeper space of your very own soul goals. Until next time, friends, remember that everyone has a story, and every story matters.